Welcome back. This is the last part of the high poly. So we're going to be doing a few finishing touches and some cleanup ready for the next steps. So to begin with, I want to add in a connection between the ammo barrel and the main gun. And we're just going to use a cube at the same angle as the barrel, 30 degrees, rotated on the x-axis. Then just going to position this on local Y and scale it into place. Can be a bit fiddly working at angles like this, but just using the correct local axes without applying it. You can also, as I mentioned previously, use 3D cursor. You can align that to pretty much anything and then use that as the local space. Just going to lower this down so it sits within the body of the barrel, and I want to get that line that's going to be the connection between the two somewhere in between, about halfway in between them both. And this is going to be, I'm going to separate this cube into two objects, one that's connected to the barrel and one that's connected to the gun, so that it appears that when you slide the ammo barrel into its bracket, it just lines up perfectly with the gun, ready to feed bullets into the machine gun. Just trying to fit this cube neatly between the geometry of both the barrel and the edges on the gun. And now split the cube in half. So one half is going to be connected to this barrel, as I said. I'm going to union that together with the union boolean. There's no shading errors, so we can just apply that. With the other portion that's going into the gun, we're going to make a duplicate and scale that up slightly, and then we're going to use that as a cutter to cut a hole in the gun for the connecting part to extrude out from. We won't see that on the low poly, but doing it this way with the high poly, we'll be able to see the highlights that the bevel shader will catch around the part it extrudes from. Just going to add in a loop cut here and bevel it. Just need to make some geometry so we can inset into just going to apply the boolean. Just scaling that out slightly, just so there's a slight edge around it. We can apply that now, and if we just connect up these verts, we won't have any shading issues in that area. We can mirror that across. Just apply the mirror. If we isolate this, we can see that it's not kept all of the edges flowing through there, so we can just add those back in. We can just edge slide that over just a small amount, just to get rid of any shading problems there. And we can mirror that across, and remember to click flip because we did it on the other side. And just selecting both the inner faces here on each object, editing both together, and then just insetting them. Actually, that might not be necessary. No, that won't be necessary because it'll bevel anyway for that part. I did a few test views of this bit when shaded, and it is quite dark in that bit. But we'll try and make a good go of the lighting when we get to that stage. Next thing I want to do is I want to add a grill to the back of the gun. So I'm just copying the grill from the front of the gun for the front bracket, and I'm basically going to use that to make a new cutter material, a new cutter boolean. It's just quite easy to reconstruct because most of it's already made. Just going to bridge these, add an end gun here, flip all the faces outside, and then we can snap that up here, rotate and resize it into place. Just feel like this back part needs some sort of vent or grill, something where it can expel some heat. With an ammo tub that size, it's definitely going to be some sort of rapid fire weapon. I'm just going to cut that straight in the body with the brush boolean, and if we exclude the x-axis, we can get that to the height we want and just sort of scale it until we're happy with the shape. I'm not going to add a frame around it like I did with the other grill. I just think that's fine as it is, just straight into the body. And we're just going to mirror that over to the other side as well. Just looking around the model for other things we need to clean up or fix, or any other details we want to add. Just going to save it. And let's see. The top of the bracket that's holding the gun, I want to add some sort of detail up here. I did toy with the idea of just adding bevels or chamfers just to give it a different look, but at this stage I feel like most of the form of the whole piece is quite well established, so I didn't want to do that. So I've just added a cylinder and reduced it down to 6 sides. I'm going to use this as a sort of hexagonal cutter shape. Just to add some detail to this top piece. Just going to add a temporary edge loop around here so we can snap it into the center. Remove that line now. And I just want to move this slightly above. Let's scale it up. Just so that edge is not sitting flush to the surface. and then use a brush boolean to cut that out of the frame. Next I want to add in a cube, and I'm going to snap that to the same position as the cutter. Go into edit mode and scale it down, just so we can see what we're working with. Move that down on the Z-axis, scale it on the Y, and we're just going to use this to bring back a part of the geometry that was removed from the first one, from the first car. Back in edit mode, we can fine tune that. We want to make it narrower. And it kind of gives it a look like there's some sort of reinforced steel inside the frame. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that the same colour as the rest of that part when I get to that stage yet. It's quite easy to change once it's all set up, because we'll be masking out different areas. Just going to fix up the geometry here, and mirror that over to the other side. Next, there's these pivot wheels that we've got on the side. I haven't actually mirrored this over to the other side of the gun yet, so I'm just going to apply all the transforms and mirror that over, and the same with the bolts. These can all be joined together. Control J, then Control A to apply all the mods, and then just use the mirror modifier just to mirror those to the other side. We can delete the old blockout, which we haven't used for quite some time. I'm not quite sure why it's taken me this long to delete it. I think it's just there to see how the design's evolved. I think what started as a fairly simple blockout has sort of evolved into this much more complex looking piece with lots of different elements involved. We can apply or delete any leftover cutters or booleans. And next, I want to join together all of the bolts in the base. So I'm just going to hide everything else. Select all of these. Select a last one. Control J to join them all together, and then center the pivot point. And I'm just going to join the bolts in the pivot wheels as well, because they're about the same size, and they'll all get the same size bevel, and it'll probably be the same material as well. Okay, the last thing I want to do before I forget to do it is all of these bolts, I want them to all be rotated fairly randomly within their respective holes, just so that on the normal map they don't look so uniform. So first of all, I'm going to select all the ones in the base, change the transform to individual origins, and rotate them on the Z-axis by a random amount. Then I'm going to deselect some and rotate the remaining ones. And I'm going to do that a few times, just until there's a good amount of variety. You can't really tell too much that any are just rotated around the center point, but I just like to make sure that there's a lot of variety in there. And then the same for these ones. It doesn't matter that the ones on the opposite side are getting the same rotation, because you'll never be able to see the same side at the same both sides at the same time. So I've rotated them once, just going to deselect a couple and rotate again, deselect a couple more and rotate again, and now they're all at different amounts. And let's do that a little bit more. Okay, and save that, and I'll see you in the next part. Thanks for watching. Take care.